So hello again, everyone, and welcome to the next in our series of webcasts that we're bringing you from Travel Weekly to keep you all connected during these very strange times. We're going into week 12 of lockdown, and I'm delighted that I'm joined today by 3 agents right on the front line who've been dealing with this very difficult situation for a number of months now. So I'm joined by Rob Kenton, who's from Triangle Travel. I'm joined by Helen Dooley, who is from More Travel. And I'm joined by Phil Nuttall of the Travel Village Group. So welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for sparing the time. I know how busy you are. Is it still as frantic as it was, or are things slightly calming down? Let's maybe start with you, Phil. I know I've been watching your videos you've been doing with Jess, and I've been keeping up to date with your business. But how are things now as we are, sort of hopefully now starting to emerge a bit from this?
It's starting to quieten down a little bit. We've got 2 sides of the business, you see, because we've got the home working Paula's side of the business, and then we've also got my side of the business, you know, the lead generated side with the cruise village and the travel village. So it's quite interesting from my perspective. I'm sat here looking down on 2 very different yin and yang sides of the industry, really, and actually they're probably complementing each other. So we have peaks and troughs, where one side of the business is struggling, the land side, you know, with one thing and another. You've then got the cruise industry, which is has its own issues. They're slightly different, and commercially they're slightly different, I think, to the land-based side. So from my point of view, it's, you know, it's trying to balance them out, you know, good weeks and bad weeks.
Okay, but you're saying that it's slightly calming down a bit. I guess, you know, the initial all the refunds and the cancellations and just so much unknown, that must have been pretty difficult to cope with.
Yeah, I mean, we made the decision from day one that we were going to keep all our care team on the salary. So we've answered every single phone call that's come into the business, across the whole business, every day. And the answer phone messages in the evening have been answered the next day. So every customer that's not needed to speak to us has spoken to us every single day. We've not missed a single call.
Are you missing that call now?
I am.
Well,
that's me. Sorry.
Probably Helen. So we've not missed a call.
Therefore,
therefore we've been on top of things. So we've been able to deal with the customers, let them vent their anger, and that's provides us now with this breathing space, so to speak. And all my care team will thank me for saying that. But a little bit of breathing space, and also the cruise lines bringing or moving further out and bringing in the cancellations has allowed us to get on top of them, and now look to when everything starts to open up. Hopefully, non-cruise in July will be fantastic, and then cruise, let's see what happens regionally. But on the whole, I think we're looking at November, really.
Okay. All right, let's come back to sort of things reopening. Let's just get a handle on how everybody else has fared. Rob, what about you? You've got 5 shops. How's it been for you and all your, you know, your different teams in different branches?
We furloughed 80% of our staff from day one. So we've got a very small team, a little bit different to Phil. A team of 4 working at the moment. It has got easier. Still finding Monday and Tuesday are hellish days. They're just shocking, and today's has been the same. But then the weeks as you go on, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday seem to ease a bit off. But it is still tough around the conversations of refunds. They're the big issues we still got. Not getting the refunds in, and then clients have been waiting a long time. They expect the refund comes in on a Friday, and they want it out on Friday. It's just not possible with the size of team we've got.
Yeah, and I don't want to be naive, but Monday and Tuesday, why is that particularly bad? Because people have just been storing up.
I think they sit at home
festering,
sit at home festering, and then right, I'm going to pick up the phone Monday or email, and we have to deal with it on a Monday and Tuesday. So
okay,
yeah, it's been tough.
And on the refunds, sorry, Helen, I will come to you in a second, but on the refund side of things, you know, we spoke to some agents who were saying that, you know, some of the ones who weren't passing on the money in the early days, they said that it's gradually now coming through, so that's a little bit easier. But are there still quite a number outstanding where you've had to still have those difficult conversations with clients?
Yeah, we've still got about 60% due.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, you're nodding, Helen. Tell us.
Yeah. I think they're starting to roll in now, but it's taken a long time, and we've still got some tour operators causing us the most problems, are just completely ignoring us, just not even interested in having the conversation, won't even reply to emails. So we've got customers on the one hand waiting for the refund, and tour operators that we've had lovely partnerships with up until now, it's few and far between, but just not processing anything, and
they're not even giving you and they're not even taking your call and giving you a reason or
no. And what do you do from there? What do you do when you've got a tour operator that's just refusing to even try and come up with some kind of compromise for you? Where do you go with it? That's my biggest problem.
And what do? Do you then have to refund out of your own pocket, or is that just obviously very difficult, or do you?
Yeah, well, we've reported them to ABTA Code of Conduct, but I don't know. I dare say everyone will have one or two tour operators that are kind of in that space that just aren't being helpful at all. On the whole, everyone's been amazing, but yeah, just the odd one or two, it is terribly frustrating.
And is it because they? Sorry, Rob, go on.
Sorry, when you can't speak to the tour operator either to get an actual date when it's going to come down.
Yeah.
You're telling the client we're still chasing. They don't believe you. They think you're sat on the money, and I'm losing clients because of that. I lost one today who does not believe that I'm not sat on the money.
Mm.
And so, how does that conversation go? When you say you've lost him, they're just saying, "I'm never booking with you again, Rob."
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Simple as that. You know, once I got my money back, you're not getting my business again. But I haven't got your money.
Yeah.
It boils down to, Rob, the situation that the trade has always been there for a kicking in the media. And, you know, it's all very well having people like the Simon Colders and people like that on TV. But in fairness, you know, we've not been given a chance to sit here like this and put our side forward.
Mm.
We try and understand it from our perspective. You know, we are in the hands of the tour operators in many, many cases.
Mm.
Yeah. We're at the bottom of the food chain. As an agent, we're at the bottom of the food chain. The people controlling it at the top are the ones that are killing my business.
And presumably, I mean, we've heard a bit of this, but I mean, Helen, you say you had great relationships, or so you thought. This really exposed some cracks. Do you think it's because they, like you, have got limited resource to do it, or do you think some of them are literally just going, "We're shutting up. We're just not going to talk to any"? Because even if they didn't have staff, you'd hope they would talk to you and explain things and try and come up with a solution.
Exactly. I think, and either just some kind of compromise situation, or just say, you know, the reason I can't do this is for XYZ reason. There's no excuse for just ignoring phone calls and emails. It's so unprofessional.
Okay. And so do you think as a result of this, you will be working with fewer or different suppliers
for sure? Yeah, and there are some suppliers that have been absolutely amazing, just phenomenal to work with, and I'm fairly sure for all of us moving up after this, then we'll be redirecting our business in those directions. And actually, it makes quite good sense now. It's always been problematic to try and market to a consumer on the basis of if something goes wrong. But we have kind of a real live example of when things go catastrophically wrong now that we can start to use to clients to explain why sometimes there are price differential between premium operators and, you know, the lower end of the scale, although that doesn't necessarily compute. But yeah, we can give real life examples now of how people behaved during this crisis and how quickly their refunds came through.
And do you think, you know, I hope that works and sticks with people, but obviously we hear that people have short memories and in the end they just go for price. So do you think that this has been so catastrophic that actually there will be a message to the consumer that they should book with a trusted travel agent, someone to speak to, and then, you know, take your advice on which operators to book with?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I mean, that's definitely the path that we see ourselves going down. I think we've all been really, really conscious of playing just on price, but I think we can now give some real live examples of why we might be 1 or 2% more expensive than online. How far that sticks with a consumer, I guess, will depend very much on their mindset and how they've been affected by this. But I think that's definitely the path that we want to go down as a business. Start to hone in on the operators and the products and destinations that we want to sell on, and be less concerned about being exactly the same price as everybody else.
Okay.
I think we also need to be wary, don't we, about how the industry is going to go financially
Yeah.
over the next 18 months, 2 years, because I think there's going to have to be a period of adjustment. You know, people are going to have to get the ducks in line, you know, and make sure the businesses have got the capital behind them. And because, you know, within a couple of years, we are probably going to get to a scenario where, you know, it'll be great for travel agents in terms of the message we give, because we'll be able to actually stand here, hopefully. And if this ever happened again, know that the customer money is where it should be, protected,
Mhm.
of course. The airlines have got to be brought into line. They are absolutely away with the fairies and running, you know, roughshod over everybody. So that cash that's there needs to be there until that customer has travelled, you know, and that ultimately has got to be our aim, to bring this industry and the reputation back where it needs to be. And you have the agents who got the backing financially will survive and do really well. And then, you know,
Are you saying you want to see a change in the regulations, Phil,
well, I'm
for
not
the whole
saying,
industry?
I'm saying that we have to. I don't see any way out of this over the next 2 years, and it's got to be done. So it's going to be a process, you know, because we don't want to lose people. We don't want to lose good businesses for whatever reason. And it's going to take some getting over this situation financially, even for people who've had
Yes,
the money
because
there.
everybody's worked on a model, haven't they, where they've
Yes.
been trading off customer cash. I mean, that's the kind of by and large, the model that people have operated on.
Yeah, a lot of people have, and you know, so we've got to these time to get back. We've got to get the business, the bookings back, the cash back into the system, and then we've got to look at it and start building this new look, you know, travel industry, you know, and something that we're all proud of and want to be part of. And
It
that's
won't happen, though,
exciting.
Phil.
I think that's exciting.
It won't happen, though, Phil. It won't happen. 6
I'm
months'
not so
time,
sure, Rob.
I can see what's going to happen. We'll all go back to a normal level and everything will be forgotten again. Maybe us agents might feel the pain and we may have to financially change, but the guys at the top won't. In my opinion, it won't happen.
So you don't think they'll all be brought into a new system whereby this you know, where the cash is up the chain and not kept separately?
Got to be careful what I say, because I said some things right at the beginning which I made myself look a right idiot, because they did happen, but I just can't see it happening. I think we'll just get back to a normal level in 6 months' time and everything could be forgotten again. And it does need to change. I agree with you, Phil.
Yep.
It completely needs to change.
But again, I guess it needs to change from the top, and everybody needs to.
Yeah.
Okay.
My biggest fear at the moment as a small agent is merchant facilities. You know, if some of those merchant facilities are to get jumpy and pull my facilities, and I haven't got a business really, I've got to go to a trust fund or be forced into doing that, which I'm already looking at the moment. But that's my biggest fear. Are you
having those conversations with your providers already? Are they, you know, you're saying if they're starting to get jumpy, are you still trying to reassure them at the moment, or how's that?
I can remember 20 years ago, or maybe a bit shorter than that, when Streamline pulled out and they wanted you to have a bond of 50 grand or something along those lines. I just get the fear that once this is all over, they may get jumpy and come back to us. And if you haven't got the merchant facilities, you can't trade. And that scares the living daylights out of me. I fear that us at the bottom are going to feel the pain.
Okay, is that something you guys worry about, like Rob, the merchant services facilities?
Well, we use the trust fund model, so actually we're kind of already in that zone.
Yeah.
I think it's worked really well, because obviously the client's funds are all protected, so all I've got to deal with is my current cash flow situation. I've never traded off off a client's cash flow. So yeah, we've already got the trust fund model. And it works really well for us.
Okay, what about you, Phil?
I agree with Rob. I think, you know, there's going to be questions that are going to be asked and answered. It's interesting, isn't it, that it's all going to come down to, you know, government, who've really not been particularly helpful throughout this crisis for the travel industry, and it does make you worry. But I do feel that there is always going to be tremendous value in good travel agents. How we operate, without a shadow of a doubt, is going to be, you know, different for a lot of us. You know, not for everybody, but for a lot of us, it's going to be different. You know, the social interaction between us and guests, and maybe guests who are traveling with family or friends, you know, through things like Zoom, etc., is going to be a new way of, say, that's always been around, but the dare I say, the older, even me, senior people haven't been, you know, used to using that technology. Now it's just second nature. They've probably left 5 years in the space of 2 months. You know, it's incredible. So I think there's some real great opportunities for travel agents, you know, moving forward. But, you know, I do go back to what I said at the beginning, that if government doesn't get to grip with the travel industry and understanding the value of the travel agents and helping us and supporting us with, if it is ABTA, on this journey, then it's going to be really tough, you know.
Yeah.
But it's clear that we have bailed out so many tour operators and so many questions over government. The travel agent community have bailed them out yet again by talking to customers, and the agents like mine, Rob and Helen, who've kept our phone lines open. Some agents haven't, but agents like us who've kept our phone lines open, paid our team, are the ones yet again who've looked after the customer, answered questions, and bailed everybody out.
When you say bailed everybody out, Phil, do you mean that you've taken the flak, you've taken the heat?
Yep.
Okay. And you've sort of tried to explain the situation.
Yeah, because no one can get through to the tour operators, can they, in effect? So, you know, you can't get through to anybody. You can't get through to Sky. You can't get through to the services. You can't get through to an insurance company, or you couldn't. You try to get through to a low-cost airline. It's absolutely impossible. And the only people they've got to vent it out on is us, you know. And I think we've done an incredible job yet again. We've been social workers, you know, we've been, you name it, we've done it yet again in a crisis, and we've come out on top. And for once, we need someone to come and support us, and let's find a model moving forward. But like Rob says, you know.
Yeah. Just before we move on from the government, I mean, I don't want to go on it all the whole call, but obviously today's a big day because it's when the quarantine has started officially. So I don't know how you feel about that. I was speaking to Julia Lobue Saeed, head of Advantage. She did a survey. She said 15% of her members were worried they might go out of business because that measure had been brought in. I mean, you're already facing quite a lot as it was, and then this was brought in. Is this another, you know, a real sort of blow for you, this 3 weeks so far, but could be extended?
It's the fact that it hasn't been, with nothing definitive, have we? So, you know, if they were going to do it, and they're doing it to make a statement for a week, 2 weeks, or till the end of June, you know, it's a fact. Again, it's like when the government said, you know, don't go away on holiday, in effect, you know, when it came out, you know what a, you know.
And in terms of all your customers, do you feel that there is some demand for this year? Like if we didn't keep having ministers saying don't bother and quarantine being brought in, do you think you would have had some demand for this summer?
Yeah, and I think there still is. You know what? And this is the other thing, and probably Helen's nodding her head here, which is we have got tour operators, right? Let's not forget, who supported us through this. Some of them have been really good. They've come to the table. They've done the refunds, you know, and some of the big tour operators, you can name Jet2, for example. You know, when we go back on sale and we start to travel in whatever capacity that's like, we have to be here as travel agents to support these tour operators. And we should be getting into the late market. You know, we'll get to find out what it's going to be like, how the airport's going to be like, the transfers, etc. We will start to find that out, you know, and the airports actually need to start communicating what they're going to be doing. That would help, you know. So we've got to support the operators and get the late market going. We're in this together.
Okay. Rob, do you think you've got demand? I mean, a lot of what you do, I mean, you were doing your fantastic triangle tours, you were doing a lot of sort of lovely long haul touring, and I guess, you know, long haul is the most immediate thing is likely to be short haul. Long haul's even further off. So what's the demand like for your clientele?
I think the demand is there, but the quarantine word just throws it out the window straight away. It's as simple as that. I sort of sit a little bit different on the word quarantine in relation to, I can understand it's passing law as a blanket cover. Okay, so we can say the whole world, if you're coming into the UK, you're quarantined. if they put air bridges and announce both of them together, it would make sense. So, you know, you can stop peaks that are happening in South America at the moment, and we can say nobody can come in from South America, but all these other countries can come in on these air bridges. But they both have to be announced at the same time. You can't have one saying we're completely quarantined for 2 weeks and no direction going forward. And then they keep putting spin on it, or say maybe mid-July, we can get going. But nobody's going to go until those words quarantine are lifted, or we're actually given some direction. There is no direction, and there's nobody in relation to wanting to purchase a holiday at the moment with those words quarantine. All based.
Yeah, you're agreeing, Helen.
Yeah, and I think one of the toughest questions is who's going to cover it. So if a client's got a holiday booked, but I've got clients that are prepared to pay their deposits for August, or their balances for August, but what happens if quarantine is still in place? Who's going to cover it? The flight's still operating, the hotel's still open, so the tour operators fulfill in their package. The insurance companies seem to have got away scot-free in this whole process. Who's going to be responsible?
Yeah, because it's not like they're going to get a refund automatically, because you say
not like they are at the minute, you know.
Exactly.
Who's going to cover it if quarantine's reintroduced? Let's say there's another phase, and somebody's got a holiday booked to a certain place, and then the quarantine's introduced as a temporary measure. Who covers it then?
And what will your go on?
Sorry,
Rob.
Lucy, I keep interrupting you. I'd like to know what Phil and Helen think of this. My worry is staff could be having a conversation on a Monday with a tour operator, and they're saying, right, you can amend this, or you can do this, you can pay, you know, you can delay your balance, etc. And there's a lot of movement. Monday night, we get an announcement, and that can change. What happens on Tuesday? We're going to be forced that they've got to pay their balance, or they're going on holiday. You know, that really worries me, because we've got no guidance, no direction. The conversation on one day could be completely different the next day.
Okay, very difficult to operate and to plan with no direction.
I agree, but as Phil said, who's going to end up with it? It'd be our fault. We tell clients some advice on a Monday, position changes on the Tuesday, we're going down for it.
So I mean, it's like it very much feels like, although we all know this is nobody's fault and we're all in it together, but you're saying that the government is not helping you and is making it a very difficult situation 10 times worse because of
impossible situation.
Yeah. All right, let's just move on a little bit towards trying to look for some green shoots and sort of the future. Obviously, next week on the 15th of June is the date that the government has said non-essential retail is allowed to open. What is your position, each of you? I know, Phil, you've got both aspects, parts of the business, but you've all got a high street presence. What are you planning? Are you going to be opening or sort of part opening from the 15th? Helen, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm going to open. I kind of think I'm here anyway. I'm kind of in the shop, but with the door locked, because all of our booking systems are here. So I'm just going to play it by ear, probably do reduced hours slightly just to give myself a bit of respite, because I'm the only person not furloughed. And I'll probably be open every day, just kind of see what happens and play it by ear. I can't think there's much else I can do at the moment, really, other than just be here in case someone happens to wander in and want to make a booking.
But we've just lost your picture. I'll come. Oh, there you are. You're back. No, I was going to say. So you say there's not much else you can do, but have you put stickers on the floor, and have you put plastic, perspex things up, or?
My shop's pretty big. The desk is over 3 meters long anyway, and we've got a lounge area. So I think I can cope with social distancing without having to erect plastic screens or do anything too onerous. We've got separate offices as well out the back, so we can utilise those if we need to. So I'm just going to, normal things, sanitise, have hand sanitizer, but I don't think plastic screens and face masks are really conducive to the holiday ambience.
No. What about the rest of you? Have you got plans to reopen, Phil?
No.
Okay. Well, you were just saying how well the Zoom was working for you, so perhaps you don't have to.
Absolutely, I was going to come on to that actually as well, but I was talking to my little girl, to Jess Mop, about this, and because she looks after the retail side, and we sort of like tentatively said 15 June, but if I'm being honest, I don't think we will be opening until probably July. if I'm being fair. And with Helen on the plastic, I can't get my head around that. You know, it's like, you know, no, really not. So
It'll be
I'm
fine
just,
for you to go on holiday, sir, from behind a surgeon's mask.
it's absolutely, yeah, I get it, but it's not for me. So I don't know. I need to really think about it. You know what I'm like.
Yeah, you think that you would lose some of the ambience or whatever if you were behind a screen, presumably.
Yeah, we've got a big shop where we can put people. We are changing the way we work in the shop, so that's all being done at the moment. But so we can.
What, in terms of like rotors and things?
Yeah,
Or
we've got like 4 desks, so we can do like one here and one here,
yeah,
and one here and one here, and give them fixed desks, and then for those people, that's no problem. We can do that, and we can sit them further away. People, that's not a problem. And like Helen says, that's probably something we'll look at, but it all depends on the guidelines again from the government as these cases come down and as we move further forward, you know, and people will be maybe carrying quarantine or not quarantine, I hate that word. People will be carrying those health passports,
right.
where they've had the test or they've had the antivirus. I think there's going to be a lot of that. So, you know, and
We're
we've
going to
got
wait
talk
and
to
see a bit
insurers, haven't
longer.
we?
So,
Also,
sorry.
like Helen said, we need to talk to the insurers. What's their take
Yeah.
on it? What happens if someone comes in your shop and says, well, you know, and they go out and it's, oh, I've caught coronavirus, or, you know, that sort of side of it we've not even thought about. It's just, you know, really up in the air at the moment, but it will become clear and it will become better.
All right. And what about you, Rob? 5 different branches.
I'm actually sat behind a 4-foot screen at the moment.
Are you? So you've put screens up, have you?
Yeah, we've got 2 shops ready to go. And we actually made the screens ourselves. We've gone to no, very cheap, just to see what it looks like, and it looks bloody awful. So it looks like a prison cell.
So is it very much it's like a police cell?
A prison cell. It's like a meeting room in a prison. Not that I've been, but that's what I imagine to look like. So we've got two stores ready to go, but we're not going to open them for 15.
Okay. And presumably, if you don't like these screens, it's very much a temporary measure.
Yeah, it's the easy to take off. I think the trigger points for us are the staff that I've got working at the moment are happy to come back in. That is pivotal in all of it.
Yeah.
If everything opens around us and we're sticking out like a sore thumb on the high street by not opening, because obviously that's client perception, the agent's not opening. And I think obviously an increase in footfall and inquiries. At the moment, our levels, we can cope with everything from home and carry on as normal. So there's no need to put my staff at risk and go through all that hassle. But I do have 2 stores that I could open as of today if I wanted to.
If you wanted to. Okay, just to have that presence, because as you say, you don't want to be the only shop on the high street that isn't open. Okay, and then in terms of, you know, you're talking about the staff, that's a key thing, isn't it? They've got to feel comfortable, and you've all mentioned furlough at some stage. So, and of course, we've seen some changes been announced around that. So how is that going to affect you? Because you're going to have a bigger contribution yourselves. Is it going to make sense to continue paying that, or bring them back to work, or what are you thinking around staffing? Should we ask Helen so she stops moving about?
My phone's about to run out of battery and I've been trying to find a charger for it, sorry. I think when we really needed the staff was right at the beginning, when there was all of the chaos and there was more work to do than we could possibly try and keep up with. That's when I was working sort of 16, 17 hours a day. Now there's not actually very much work to do. All of the forward bookings have been dealt with. There's obviously still a steady trickle of clients with wanting information and chasing refunds, but the kind of furore of the first few weeks is over. So, I mean, there's not really anything much needs doing. So, in terms of bringing people back, I think we'll probably take advantage of furlough for as long as we can.
Okay. What about the rest?
Until demand sort of dictates otherwise.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. So, well, wouldn't that be lovely if we get lots of demand, then you'll be bringing them back instantly. What about you, Phil?
Well, we haven't furloughed any of the care team or the management team in the business. The operations team, they've all been kept. We've kept them all going, paid them all. So the only things that we furloughed really is is one of the marketing team. We've actually kept all four of the marketing team in as well, marketing. So we've taken the approach that keep the phones open and keep everything going, keep marketing in a, you know, under the radar, so to speak, and get everything ready for when it comes out. We've kept a lot, you know, technology, so to speak, moving forward. So for me, there's not been too many that we've had to do that for, which has been fabulous, you know. And I think moving forward, though, we go back to the Zoom thing, don't we? And, you know, it's like me, I live in Blackpool. So to come to a business meeting in London is either, you know, it's £150 to £250 a day or a night, depending what it is. And I think in the past, there's been a lot of peer pressure in the industry to turn up and do things, when actually, you know, although we like to see people, it's quite a cost on the business, especially when you're living in the north of England. So I think there's going to be a lot more of me and other people in the north using things like Zoom to do our meetings and actually involving our salespeople in the Zoom meetings, and that's going to be great. So I don't think, you know, you'll see me flying down the train into London as often as I used to do.
Well, I'll be a bit sad about that, Phil.
I know, but I think also we've reassessed our lives. I think all of us here can probably say the same, that we've evaluated what's important to us and how we can work in the industry better, more efficient, but also have a bit more of a work-life balance. And I think when you look at some of the guys out on the road in the industry who we've not just, I don't know, abused isn't the right word, but, you know, they'd come up and meet with us. They'd been driving for 2 hours up the M6 or the M1 car park or whatever on the M25. They have a meeting for half an hour, get back in the cars. And actually, these people are really important to us. And I don't want to see them go from the industry. And I think we'll get far much more out of the relationships with them, like they're doing the afternoon teas and Q&As and actually opening themselves up to our customers as well, so you don't have to book venues and take money. You can do virtual, you know, meetings and virtual conferences to your customers. There's so much we can do. And I want the tour operators to really take a bigger view of this, that they don't just go, you've gone. I think that's really important that we understand that, and that we use some of this technology to bring the industry back to life and involve customers and salespeople better than we did before.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. What do you think, Rob? Because you must have lots of people wanting to come and visit you, and I guess you get asked to go to lots of meetings yourself.
Yeah, I agree. I think the work-life balance is the big thing. You know, as all of us probably work 15, 16-hour days for all of this, 6 days a week. From my point of view, I'm not interested in that anymore. But, you know, we're looking at condensing our working hours across the stores down to a 5-day working week. We seem to be chasing business all the time, which puts a huge amount of pressure on all of us. And I think clients, especially our clients, as you said, as Phil said earlier, they come on leaps and bounds of technology. It's cheap, it's easy, and it saves a lot of time.
Yeah, so I guess that's a silver lining that we can perhaps look forward to, if we can, you know, think of anything that could be a positive from this. But that would be great if we could have some new ways of working that are, as you say, are better for everyone's mental health and time, etc. I'm conscious of our time on this call. I just wanted to go around and see if there was anything that, you know, you would ask of tour operators or your trade associations or your consortia or anybody, you know, what would help you as people on the front line? If there was one thing that could, or a couple of things that might be really useful to help you get through the next few weeks, what would it be? If I start with you, Helen. Well, I won't start with Helen because she's frozen. I wondered why she was so quiet. Let's start with you, Phil.
Oh, great. I actually don't know. And that's an honest answer. I couldn't put my finger on what anyone could do to make this situation any better. It will probably have to come from the government in terms of the quarantine things, will be the place to start. And I think it would be nice for the airports, MAG Group and others, to actually come forward, and maybe you get them on here, 3 of the groups, the airport groups, to tell us.
Well, do you know what? I asked that I've emailed them only today, and I looked back at when I last emailed them, and it was April the 9th. So I'm going to say now, because I want them to come on here. I'd love to see them. I've also asked if we can go up and see, go to the airport, see what they've been doing, so that we can relay that back to you guys who are having to pass those things on to your clients. So we will watch this space. Hopefully they'll hear that and they'll get back to me. We've got 2 Helens now. That's interesting. Oh my God, you've had a technical nightmare. But let's go to Rob, and we'll come back to you in a minute, Helen. Rob, is there anything you can think of that, just like, your chance now, just to sort of, as an appeal to anybody out there that could, make your life a bit easier?
Crystal ball would be good.
Around the golf.
Yeah, I tell you, mate, anything. It's just direction. There's so many unanswered questions for us around quarantine, when we can get going again, insurance. Even if we open the airports and we get flying again, who's going to insure them for COVID-19? There's a couple that come to market, but
I think there's, just on that, Rob, as far as I understand, you've got some who are offering a policy if you were to get ill overseas, if you were to get COVID overseas, but there's yet to be a policy that would cover you if you bought your holiday and then got COVID-19 and were unable to travel. Is that your understanding?
I'm not sure. I haven't even looked into it. I haven't even seen anybody advertise apart from one company. I didn't look into it in any detail. There's just so many unanswered questions. I think the next 2 weeks are going to be very difficult to get going. I really do, and I can't see. I think really we should have more direction, and from the government. That's got to be the lead, as Phil said. What is the plan with these air bridges? If we're going to stay for a year, we've got to have more detail about these air bridges. Who we have conversations with. Are they going to happen?
Yeah, so we need that information, and we need that this week, don't we? Helen, I don't know if you missed the question. I was just, as a sort of summary, I was asking if there was 1 or 2 things or anything that, whether it's your tour operator partners or your consortia or your trade associations or the government, is there what would really help you through this challenge in the next sort of 2 weeks, month, whatever? What could happen?
I think all of those things in terms of the immediate solutions to the problems, but I think moving forward, one of the things that I've noticed is that collectively as travel agents, we don't really have one cohesive voice in terms of lobbying government. I know we have ABTA, but obviously they have 2 hats that they wear. We had the ABTA refund credit note guidance, but tour operators seem to have abused that slightly, and there doesn't appear to be any consequence to them. So I think a cohesive voice that was representative of all travel agents that could lobby the government, understand what was happening, would be really useful.
And
quite fragmented, the travel agent voice.
Yes, because as you say, ABTA, I guess, is your spokesperson, but they have another hat to wear. So who would perform that role, or would it need to be a new body?
I guess so. I guess it sounds like an association of British travel agents, but maybe maybe, I don't know. I'm a TTA member, so ABTA aren't even really representing my voice. So I don't know.
I say rise to Phil.
That's new thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, come on, Phil.
Oh, do me a favour. I've got enough on my plate at the moment.
All right. Well, listen, I know how busy you are. Rob made the point that Mondays are a nightmare, so I don't want to hold you up any longer. It's been a pleasure to speak to you all. I can tell how hard it's been. I know it has. If there's anything we can do, let us know. We keep trying to fight your cause. And thank you so much for your time. So thanks to Rob from Triangle Travel, to Phil from the Travel Village Group, and to Helen from More Travel.
With my technical issues, sorry.
Yeah, I know. Won't have you back again, Helen, until you get your...
I won't be doing Zoom calls with clients.
All right. Thanks very much, guys.
Bye. Bye.